Greetings, Guardians. This is Olympus Alliance. Before we dive into today's guide, make sure to subscribe to the channel and drop a like if you enjoy deep hero breakdowns like this one. Your support allows us to continue testing, analyzing, and bringing you the kind of strategy that truly helps you grow in Dominion. And today, we are doing something special. For the first time ever on this channel, we are talking about Markus. A hero that many players overlook, many underestimate, and in some cases, completely ignore. But here's the interesting part. When you actually look at Markus on paper, his kit is impressive. His abilities suggest a very strong frontline healer, capable of sustaining a team while also contributing to damage and control in subtle ways. However, once you bring him into real combat, things don't always translate the way you expect. And that's the reality. Markus feels like a hero that is just one step away from becoming truly impactful. His design is there, his mechanics are there, but in many situations he lacks that final push that would make him a consistent meta presence. That's why many players are still waiting for a buff or a rework that allows his skills to fully matter in high-level play. But while we wait for that moment, the question becomes very simple. Can Markus still be built in a way that makes him functional and valuable without wasting resources? And the answer is yes. If you understand what actually matters for this hero. So as always, we begin with the fundamentals. Markus is an intelligence-based healer from the Honor faction, but unlike most healers, he doesn't sit safely in the backline. He plays in the front line, which immediately changes how you need to think about him. He is exposed to damage much more frequently, and that means survivability becomes just as important as his healing output. At the same time, most of his abilities scale with magic attack. 3 of his skills depend directly on it, which means that increasing this stat improves both his healing and his damage contribution. This dual scaling is very important, because it defines how we prioritize his build. Now let's talk about how his kit actually functions during a fight. One of the most impactful parts of Markus is his ability to protect the ally with the lowest health. His shield doesn't just absorb damage, it completely blocks incoming damage for a short duration while also healing the target. This creates moments in battle where a hero that should have died suddenly survives. And in hero wars, those moments decide fights. If that shield lands on a key damage dealer at the right time, it can completely shift the outcome of the battle. Then we have his Wave of Light, a skill that moves forward and backward across the battlefield, healing allies and damaging enemies at the same time. This ability becomes significantly more effective when Markus is positioned correctly, ideally in the first or second position, where it can interact with more targets. This is another reason why Markus feels different from traditional healers. He is actively participating in the fight, not just supporting from a distance. His third skill reinforces his core identity, once again focusing on the ally with the lowest health. This consistent targeting ensures that the most vulnerable hero on your team keeps receiving support, which is extremely valuable against burst damage compositions. But the most unique part of Markus comes with his final ability. When Markus is defeated, he doesn't simply disappear from the fight. He becomes a ghost, and while in this state, he continues to use his skills and support his team. Enemies cannot target him, which means that as long as your team is still alive, Markus continues to provide value even after falling. This mechanic is incredibly important to understand. Because in many situations, Markus dying does not mean you lose his impact. Instead, it extends his presence in the fight and gives your team more time to stabilize or finish the battle. And time, in hero wars, is often the difference between victory and defeat. Now that we understand how Markus works, let's talk about how to build him correctly, especially if you are working with limited resources. We start, as always, with skills. There is no reason to delay here. Markus depends on the full interaction of his abilities, and every level improves his overall performance. So the recommendation is simple and direct: all skills to maximum. Once that is done, we move into one of the most important decisions in his build. Skins? Here, the priority is very clear. Markus needs magic attack first. This stat directly improves his healing output and strengthens the effectiveness of his abilities. If you are only going to invest in one skin at the beginning, it must be magic attack. After that, the next step is health. Since Markus operates in the front line, increasing his survivability becomes essential. The longer he stays alive, the more value he provides. All other skins, such as intelligence or armor, can wait until later. Next, we move to level progression. Markus should always be brought to the maximum level. This is not just for stats, but also to unlock talismans, which are a very powerful part of his development. His first talisman, available in the Eternal Frontier shop, is especially important. It provides intelligence and health, both of which directly support his role. A well-developed talisman can significantly boost his effectiveness without requiring the same level of investment as multiple skins. Now let's talk about artifacts. Because Markus is a frontline hero, his priorities are slightly different from most mages. His first artifact should be his book, which increases armor and magic defense. This is crucial for keeping him alive against both physical and magical damage. If Markus cannot survive, he cannot heal, and his value drops significantly. After that, you move to the Ring of Intelligence, which improves his overall scaling and enhances the effectiveness of his skills. If your resources are limited, focusing on these two artifacts is enough to make him functional. Next, we look at glyphs. If you are playing efficiently and saving for events, bringing all glyphs to level 40 is a solid strategy. However, if resources are tight, focus on 3 key glyphs: magic attack, health, and armor. These 3 stats provide everything Markus needs to perform his role effectively. For evolution, 5 stars is enough to get him started. His soul stones are accessible, and pushing to absolute star can be done over time without rushing. Finally, sparks of power should always be maximized. They provide a direct boost to all his primary attributes and are one of the most efficient upgrades you can make. When you combine all of these elements, you end up with a Markus that is not overbuilt, not resource heavy, but functional and reliable. And that's the key. Because Markus is not a hero you build to dominate the meta. He is a hero you build to support your strategy, extend fights, and protect key allies at critical moments. And in the right situations, that can be incredibly valuable. So Guardians, this is Markus. A hero with potential, a hero with unique mechanics, and a hero that may become much stronger in the future with the right adjustments. Until then, build him smart, use him wisely, and extract value where others don't even look. If you enjoyed this guide, let me know in the comments if this is your first time considering Markus seriously, or if you've already experimented with him before. Stay tuned, stay sharp, and as always, salute and friendship.